All right. Shalom, Yahweh Shem, Shalom, Yahweh Shem, Shalom, Yahweh Shem, to brothers and sisters. This is DC's. This is DC. This is Monday's DC's history class. I'm preaching also Nachaamayah. We're going to the history of first Maccabees, and during this time, this is the time when the Greeks was conquering most of the known world. And in that time, Alexander, the world who the world calls Alexander the Great, and in the I.S.U.P.K, we call Alexander the Greek because he's not great to us; he's a great oppressor. Right. But he's a Greek, so we call him Alexander the Greek. Right. But the world he's known as Alexander the Great. So during this time, Alexander the Great is going around conquering most of the world, most of the known world, over on the east side of the world. And then he dies, and as he dies, his generals and armies and people he leaves in charge start to split up the land and go and conquer. And then during that time, they visit Jerusalem and Israel and conquered us. And there was a brother who rose up, Judas. He rose up, not the Judas that betrayed Christ, but there's a Judas before him, by the Maccabees, and he led a revolt and a revolution against that society who was trying to make us follow their laws and follow their customs. Oh, God. All right, so let's start at first. We are in the Apocrypha, the first book of the Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip.
So Alexander, the son of Philip, that's Alexander, the so-called Great, who we call Alexander the Greek. Go ahead.
The Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
Right. So he had, and King Darius, at that time, that Persian, he was a serious conqueror also. And so he had conquered a lot of land also. And I believe this Darius is the one who you get a glimpse of in the movie 300, that tall, skinny, feminine looking dude who was trying to get the Spartan to bow down to him. Right. I believe this is him. Go ahead.
God. Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes, that he reigned in his state the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth.
Right. So Alexander the Great, the reason why he was so-called great is because he conquered most of the known world on the east side of the world. Right. Like he went all over. He went to Egypt. He went down to Asia. He went all over India. He was going all over the east side of the world. And he had conquered a lot of land. Like, it's like during that time, everybody on the east side of the world looked at Alexander, feared and trembled him because he conquered most of the land. Just like, say, like, we're in the U.S. and there's 50 states. Imagine if there was not one president of all 50 states at first, and they were, and the 50 states were broken up and ruled by different races, like different ethnicities. And then imagine all of a sudden one race, one person conquers with their army, conquers all 50 United States, and now he's the one president of the 50 of the states. That's what Alexander the Great did on the east side. There were many other dynasties and kingdoms and everything, and he conquered all of them. That's why they call him Alexander the Great.
Right.
Go ahead, continue.
And went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations.
See that he went through the ends of the earth. That's why he was known as Alexander the Great. Go ahead.
And so much that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up.
Just like that. Just like you got the president of the United States, who's a commander in chief. Alexander conquered all them lands, and they respected him like the commander in chief over there. Right. At one time. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die.
Right. So he fell sick and perceived that he was going to die. But before he died, it's going to break down. He started to, now, since he knows he's about to die, he starts splitting up his kingdom and splitting up his authorities and giving his authorities to certain of his army of hosts, certain of his generals and people he wanted to rule over certain parts of the land of his territory.
Right. Verse 6. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth.
Right.
And parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive.
Right. So you got people that he grew up with. And his father, Philip, had allowed Alexander to rule the kingdom. So when his father Philip went to war, he would allow his son to rule over to take his seat. So one of the first historical accounts was when Alexander was 16 years old. His father went to war and told his 16-year-old son, "Hey, you hold my seat." And Alexander, the Greek, took that time and took advantage and started his first war and was successful in his first war when his father was gone to war at the age of 16. Go ahead.
Verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Mm-hmm. And his servants bear rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. Right. And evils were multiplied in the earth. Right. And this is what happened. So when he died, his servants that he passed the land on to and authority to, they crowned themselves as kings of what he divided to them. But also, it started war between them, like civil wars, and they multiplied the evils, man. Many murders and many fights and wars. Go ahead. Verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in 130 and 70th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Right. So now, Greek they just created Greece, and now when Greece was 137 years old, that's when Epiphanes was ruling. Go ahead. Verse 11. Mm-hmm. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, "Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us." And there you go. There's a downfall of any nation. If any nation, whatever, black, Asian, whatever, if you have traitors in your nation who's going to join the conqueror, then you already lost, and that's how your nation is weak. You know what I'm saying? And that's the downfall of us every time. Our black leaders today, you know what I'm saying, they see us get murdered innocently by the cops. They know that we're innocent. They see us, they see the gentrification. They see all the wrongdoings that are done to. They see that we get no justice in the court system, but yet, they really don't talk about it or make a big fuss of it about it like they should, and really stand their ground and really die for their people like the I.S.U.P.K does. So here you go. You got wicked people out of Israel going to go make a covenant with the oppressor, with the Greeks, because they're more powerful, because they're more strong. You know what I'm saying? They were cowardice, man. Right. It's a very coward move, and it makes you now second. It makes you now a slave and a servant to your oppressor, because the oppressor was so strong. Now wicked men, instead of standing strong and being with the Most High, because the Most High said He'll make our enemies his footstool. Right. We turned our back on them. Certain brothers turned their back on the Most High. Right. Go ahead and read. Come. And you pull Isaiah. I got a precept for that too. Anybody got a precept for what I just said? If we read that part again, Barak. Verse 11. Mm-hmm. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, "Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. Mm-hmm. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow." Right. That's all over the Bible. Anybody got one precept?
about wicked people going to go make covenants, scared, cowardice people, because really fear, leaving their people to go join their president. What you got, question?
I was going to say once we left Egypt, when Moses went up to the to Mount to receive the commandments, we made a golden calf to try and go back to Egypt to appease them, so that we don't have to be stuck out in the wilderness or whatnot, or die out in the wilderness.
Right, get it, brother. You're right. So you got that. There's plenty of them, especially with that one. So you got the golden calf, and at the same time, throughout the time of their voyage out of Egypt into the wilderness, there was plenty of times when they murmured against Moses, and they wanted to go back. They wanted to go. They wanted to go back to Egypt, and that's why they call it a mixed multitude. That's why I like the word mixed multitude, because that's what we are. Meaning, you got some of us. We all black, but you got some of us who want to go back to Egypt. You got some of us who, don't know what to do. You got some of us who really, you got a few of us who really trying to rock and roll with the Most High, and really trying to get his mission done and do what he wants, follow his orders. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it's a mixed multitude. Imagine a mixed multitude of UPK mixed with Muslims and Christians and Buddhists and atheists, but we all black in one group trying to figure something out. That's what that was. What you have?
Isaiah 56, verse 10. His watchmen are blind. They are all ignorant. They are all dumb dogs. They cannot bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber.
Right. That's one of my favorite ones, but I don't even think about that one. Get that brother in. I wouldn't think about that one, but that's a good one. That one I use a lot. I wouldn't even think about that one. I'm always thinking about the mixed multitude, and a lot of times when we left, I turned our back on our people to, if you can't beat them, join them, which is a coward energy, a coward vibe. But what you saying most definitely is right. Whereas the wicked men want to go join the Greeks, and just like you saying, instead of them standing up, they're being dumb dogs. They're not on guard. They're not protecting their people. Right. They're useless. You are useless if you're not protecting your house. Right. Your house is going to get conquered if you don't stand at that door and guard that door. Right. The enemy's going to come in and going to, take your woman, take your children, and take all your goods and spoils, man.
Oh, God.
Go ahead and read on.
God. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well.
Right, and of course, it pleases the enemy well, but in the long term, they never stop killing us. Like black people, we have tried all kind of ways. Few of us has always tried to be revolutionary. Got Nat Turner, you got many brothers who tried to stand up against the oppressor, which is one way black people think. Like, we gotta stand up against this. Most of us have been trained to take the coward's way out and try to change our voice, shave our face, do everything the oppressor says. You know what I'm saying? Do everything. We try to be as less niggerish as we can. We try to get all the nigga out of us. We white. A lot of us is white. A lot of us is black. Was white people with black skin. And guess what? You still going that same Oreo, the same Uncle Tom is gonna get treated like a nigga with a beard and cornrows. You still get treated the same way as a gangster. You a black lawyer. You passed the bar. You got a lot of credentials. You know what I'm saying? Say if you was in the army, you did 20 years in the damn. You service to America. You come home. You still treated like a blood in the crib, and you have never been in jail. So that should show you, and even back then, that showed you, that way of that if you can't beat them, join them type vibe, type energy, it don't work. Right, and it's just not working. Go ahead and read on.
God, verse 12. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Right, they were so forward, man. So damn forward. Like, they were willing to go and just join the oppressor and, try and got license to do to leave their culture, to leave their ordinances, which is to not be a homosexual, to not eat pork, to not eat crab, to not, to keep the Sabbath,
Right.
to keep the high holy days. They said, man, forget that. We celebrate whatever the Greeks celebrate. When is the day of Zeus? We about to eat some cake. I'm about to make a big cake for Zeus, and we're gonna celebrate that, or whatever the Greek gods is.
Right.
Zeus is Greek, right? He's not Roman. He's not Roman. He's Greek.
No.
Oh yeah. You know what I'm saying? Zeus. They said, forget the Most High. Give me a toga.
Right.
That was the spirit of them.
Right.
The ones who betrayed it. They betrayed Israel at the time.
Right.
Go ahead.
So Jupiter was his Roman name?
Right. So So the Greeks is Zeus, Hades, Ares. That's all Greek. And then you got the Romans who got the Saturn and Jupiter, right? Pluto and all that, Apollo and all that. That's the Romans. But the Greeks is the Ares, Hades, Zeus, Athena. There's a lot of them. You get what I'm saying? So that's all Greek. But that's what we did. We dropped, we dropped our fringes and border of blue for a toga. Read on.
Verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen.
Right. So now they want to build a gymnasium. And if you go back to the Greek times, they worked out naked. They ran track naked. They wrestled naked. So now imagine Israelites who since back in the time of Noah, we knew we didn't want to see our father's nakedness. We knew we didn't want to see each other's nakedness. That was our culture and our customs to not see each other's nakedness. To now the Greeks come and we say, forget that. And you take your ball, you let balls hang and swing and breast out and you working out. Go ahead.
So, I heard fake Israelites say they use this scripture to say that you can't be on the team, a sports team.
You can't be on a sports team. Okay, you shouldn't be because of most of us are not in one because of this. It's like the Roman Colosseum. Like we know it's because of slavery. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of brothers who was on the football team, basketball team, even it was brothers who were boxing trainers. You can still be a boxing trainer, but what happens is once you learn the truth, it'll vex you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you learn the truth, and you be training that boxer, and you like, I can't even be in a gym no more because you know that we're going out there to fight each other for the entertainment of the oppressor. I can't even bounce a basketball or play football no more because I know really they don't give a damn about me once I'm like injured or something. For the most part, I'm just here for entertainment no matter my health or, at the expense of my health. You get what I'm saying? And then once I'm broken down, a lot of times, if I'm not saving my money, then I'm done after, I'm injured or retired or whatever. So there's no law that says you cannot be on a football team or anything like that. But you will, once you learn the truth, you will learn that it will vex you once you full out know the truth of why you playing that sport. But that don't mean don't exercise. It's good to go run, it's good to go jog. You can still play pickup basketball when you want to and all that, for exercise and all that. You can do that. But it will, once you come to the truth, it affects you. Same thing if you was a rap, R&B or rap person. Say a rap, rappers that came to the truth. And singers that came to the truth. And then once you learn that truth, it affects you. You might switch your style of music or switch your lyrics up. You know what I'm saying? Because you start, like, man, I'm not even the same person, you know, I want to represent the Most High, you might switch your lyrics up. You know what I'm saying? Which might get you, you know, kicked out of your record label, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Go to verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook their holy covenant and joined themselves
uncircumcised, meaning they made, you know what I'm saying? They made themselves like heathens and lawless. Like they used to not be naked. Now you willingly go to go participate in the Olympics, and run around naked, or go to the gymnasium and exercise naked. Go ahead.
And joined themselves to the heathen, and was sold to do mischief.
Right, you sold to do mischief. Like you sold, like you fully now taking on fully now taking on the customs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You go into the Roman parties, you getting drunk, you getting drunk and having orgies, and you know what I'm saying? You don't care about your damn woman, and it's all kind of just lewd mischief. All things that you did not do when you were in following the ordinances of the Bible and of the Most High. But now that you're Roman, now that you want to follow the Greeks, you know what I'm saying? Now you're doing whatever the hell you want to. Go ahead.
Verse 16. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of 2 realms.
So now, Epiphanes, now he conquered Greece. But now he wants 2 words. Now he wants to conquer 2 realms, meaning like 2 cities or 2 states or 2 whatever countries or whatever.
Right.
2 areas, and now he wants to conquer Egypt now. Go ahead. That's how the oppressor is. Like he wants to run around and conquer, rape and pillage everything, and own everything. That's the spirit of the oppressor.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 17. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. Ptolemy. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled.
Right, but Ptolemy was scared of Epiphanes. Go ahead.
And many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt and took the spoils thereof. Verse 20. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again into the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude.
So now he conquered Egypt. He's going around conquer land. So now it's Egypt's turn. I mean, now it's he coming to Jerusalem, Israel, to conquer us. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light.
Right. He came into the candlestick of light, the menorah, Epiphanes came and took this out of our altar, and a lot of our our cups and our vases and our vials, our golden censers and the things we use for incense. The heathen came in and took that out of our altar. Go ahead.
And the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof. Verse 22. And the table of the showbread and the pouring vessels and the vials and the censers of gold.
So this whole table right here, imagine you just come and take the whole damn table out. He's just taking everything for himself. And during that time, so the reason our things here are silver and gold, because that's how it was. That's how it always was. Our Sabbath service and our service and the way our setup was always glorious. You know what I'm saying? With silver and gold, and it looks nice. And that's how we represented the Most High's service and Sabbaths. Go ahead.
And the veil and the crown and the golden ornaments that were before the temple.
See the golden ornaments in the temple. Go ahead.
All which he pulled off. Verse 23. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went to his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel, in every place where they were. Verse 26. So that the princes and elders mourned, The virgins and the young men were made feeble.
Right. So now, our elders and our priests and our, the princes are mourning. They sad. Our young boys and, young women are weak and afraid. The spirits are down. They don't know what the hell is going on.
Right.
Go ahead.
And the beauty of women was changed.
Right.
Every bridegroom took up lamentation. And she said, Salaki, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness.
Right. You know what I'm saying? She was sad that she was in heaven. She was sad. She waiting for her husband. Her husband is now gone. Her husband is gone. Her husband was killed. She has no husband. She's in that house in that bedroom with no man. She had a husband, but he died. He was killed. So he was murdered. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Verse 28. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion.
Right. Everybody was all of them confused. They don't know what the hell is going on. They don't understand how the hell the Most High, you know what I'm saying? We got to check within ourselves. We got what's going on. The Most High allowed our enemies to conquer us.
Right.
What's going on? They all confused. We all confused at the time. Go ahead.
Go to Maccabees, verse 29. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came unto Jerusalem with a great multitude.
All right. So now and that's what happened. What happens is our oppressor will conquer a land. A king, you will conquer a land, and then each city will always contribute to you. Taxes and gold and money and livestock, whatever that king required or the oppressor required. That's what that land, those conquered lands, would give and give up. They would pay tribute to the king. Go ahead.
Verse 30. And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. Right.
So this person here, Ptolemy already conquered Israel. And then he sends his servants 2 years later to come and collect tribute, and we're going to give it to him willingly. And he spake like he was in peace. Oh, I'm in peace. I'm just here to, I'm just here to collect tribute and act like he was peaceful, but he was lying. Go ahead.
For when they had given him credits, he fell suddenly upon the city.
Right. Even after we paid tribute to the damn oppressor servants, the servant, so ruthless and so vile and so evil, that he just wanted to kill. They killed more of us. Go ahead.
God will come. And smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side.
Right.
But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle.
Right. So now you got the person coming. You got Ptolemy's. You got Epiphanes' servant coming to collect tribute, saying he's in peace. He's just he's acting like he's peaceful. He's not going to do anything. He gets the tribute and still kill the people in Israel, but did not kill the woman, and kept the children and their livestock, the cattle, the lamb, and things like that. Go ahead.
Go to count verse 33. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall, and with mighty towers.
Right. So now they're building a fort now. Now they're building a fort. They took the city of David, knocked all the walls down, and now they build up watchtowers and forts and making that part a fort. Go ahead.
Connor will come. And with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them.
There's a stronghold. Go ahead.
And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, fortified themselves therein. Verse 35. They stored it also with armor and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, and so they became a sore snare.
Right. So imagine, they conquered the city of David, build up watchtowers and like a castle and a fort. And this area right here is a place where their arms is at, their army is at, and this is a place where they conquered all our gold and silver. They stored it there, and this is a place where they had their weapons and everything like that.
Oh God!
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Verse 36. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary, and an evil adversary to Israel.
Right, and they use it a place to lie in wait. They use it a place for, like, you know, any enemy that walked past there, you know what I'm saying, was going to get killed and murdered.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 37. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 38. And so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers.
Right, they said that right. They imagine, you know, imagine you living in your city, in your hood. Some people come and take over your hood and make it their land, and
Right.
they build up their own building. Sound like gentrification to me.
That's right.
Imagine your place being gentrified, and your enemy coming and putting their own, you know, their own buildings, their own stations and forts and what's the word I'm looking for? Like when the armies be having a base.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine like a base when they would build what they build.
Right.
Imagine like a base type of thing.
Right.
And read on.
Whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers.
Right. So they got a base, and imagine a city. Now as though they you know what happens is they conquered Israel so much where Israelites was like, you know what, I can't even stay in Jerusalem. I can't even stay in Israel. I can't even stay in my land. And they fled out of Israel. So now they move in heathens, and the city does not look the same. Just like anything. Like, oh, you got people like DC. DC doesn't look the same. DC looked different 10 years ago. DC looked more different than that 20 years ago. Looked different than that 30 years ago. Each year, each decade is changing, and it looks more, you know, there's more white people now in DC, more Caucasians. And the same thing in any ghetto and anywhere across the U.S. You know what I'm saying? It's getting more Caucasian, getting more white. So that's what happened in Israel in the reign of Epiphanes. They made the city of David look like Rome, look like Greece. With strange, that's why I said strangers. This is now the city has strangers in it.
Right.
Just like now, just like imagine like the hood. They got those first 2 or 3 white people that move in, and the white man's walking the dog down a dangerous neighborhood or ghetto. It looks strange as hell. All these black people around, and now you got a few speckle of white people. And then after decades and decades, that ghetto becomes not a ghetto, and more than people that originally lived there are now pushed out. And now that neighborhood, which was once a ghetto, turns into a white neighborhood. That's what happened in the city of David. Go ahead.
And became strange to those that were born in her.
See, it became strange to those that are born in her. Like any brother who has an age on, any brother that's, you know, in 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, 60s, they always tell the story of, man, you know, this place ain't look like this a while ago, you know, 10 years ago. This place looked like this 20 years ago.
Right.
This used to be that, this used to be that. Now I got these high places and high towers and condos and this and that. That's what was going on. And that's why it says it looks strange to people who were born there in the city of David. Go ahead.
It's lucky. I saw a white lady walking down 8th Street, 7th and 8th last night by herself.
Yeah, I mean, well, man, 7th and 8th, that thing been changed. It been changed.
You know,
8th Street been changed. I mean, like even in like 8th Street, and it's crazy as you brought up 8th Street. Commander YAHANNA, they used to teach on 8th and H in like 2001 through 2008. Like I think 2001 through 2008 or 9. Then they moved, we moved to up to Chinatown. But they told people that 8th Street wasn't gonna look the same. Because back 2001, 2009, 8th Street was still mostly black. But around about that 2010 mark, 2011 mark, things started to change and become more white. Like how it is now in 2020, 2021. Now it's just, I'm saying, 8th Street, which was a ghetto, looks like Wisconsin Avenue. Go ahead. Somebody has something to say?
God, I was gonna say we was mentioning DC, like how DC used to be Chocolate City.
Right.
And, how DC used to be called as Chocolate City because everywhere you went, you just saw Negroes, you just saw, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
DC, I was reading a couple articles. DC is top ranked, if not the top ranked city in America, the most gentrified city in America.
Yeah. Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? That city, DC is in the city, is, you know, the overturn and the change is so rapid and mass, you know, big. Because it happens so fast.
Right.
Gentrification is ridiculous.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Me being a resident, being a resident in DC, watching how my dad sold this house, and how in the beginning my grandmother, my first 13 years of life, living in Georgia Avenue, and then they couldn't pay rent. So they had to leave out.
Right.
And landlord sold that house.
Right.
You know, so
Okay.
you know, crazy.
Okay.
Living in the house for, you know, from a baby to 13 years old, and watching the landlord come in the house, and I see the landlord talking to my grandfather and grandmother like, you know, the rent, you know, we gotta go up on the rent. We gotta go. Like, I remember the landlord coming in a couple of times, and it was always that talk like going up on rent. And then I remember it was a serious talk. My grandmother would start yelling and almost cursing him out. And, you know, he like, landlord basically not even really caring, but just letting them know, like, look, the rent going up. And they had to move out. That was that. Go ahead.
So like one last thing. To me, I'm more so ashamed of the city now, because I used to brag to when I went out of town, like my whole city, you know, all black people, you know what I mean? Everywhere you go, somebody come in town, you show them all around, they be like, oh my God, you know, like they couldn't believe that the whole DC was black people.
Right.
Like they never thought that, but when they would see it, and you know, then you had PG on the outskirts and everything. But now, when I bring people in town, I may show them a couple spots, but I don't take them to the gentrified.
And then most of the people, like, you know, there's a sister that was in, we got to get back on topic, but like 40, you know, an hour away, Wardolph. That's what black people was at now. Black people was in PG County, Wardolph, Clinton, Maryland. You know what I'm saying? These, the chocolate, you know, Maryland is now chocolate now. It was, you know, Maryland is the new DC. That's where black people was at. We all in Maryland and Virginia now. Go ahead, continue.
God. And it became strange to those that were born in her.
Right.
And her own children left her.
Right. And her own children left her, meaning, you know what I'm saying, black people, you know, things get, you know, it was getting so terrible and so many murders was happening that we just had to leave our own land. That's what it means. And her children left her. Like, we left Israel. When the Greeks came and tore down our houses and burned up our houses and, you know what I'm saying, or raped and robbed. We just left because it was too dangerous. Go ahead.
It's like, if I could, just when you're saying this, I heard Officer Kazak say something. He heard a radio show where this devil was coming in from out of town, driving 2 and 3 hours to go into South Side of Chicago and just leave off a box of guns in an alley,
right?
Just so you know he can start some stuff,
right?
And then I heard another sometime later, I heard another report where these train operators, when they would go from city to city, they would just throw guns out the train, and kids would just be coming around just getting the guns.
Right. So they don't. So, you know, and that's evil, and that's, you know, what the brother's saying is that the train operators and different white people will come in that live 3 hours out from the south side of Chicago, will come in and drop off boxes of guns, and they would just drop the guns there, thinking that it will start war. That black people would get the guns and just shoot each other. They would take the free guns and just shoot each other. You know, so they all have their tactics, and the only reason why it works is because we all are not under in our minds, we are in our performance, we don't follow and perform the laws of the Most High Christ.
That's right.
Because, you know what I'm saying, they can drop guns in our neighborhood and drop a box of guns in our neighborhood. Yeah, that's out of this world. That's crazy that our oppressor would do that. But once you look at your oppressor's history and know they love to make us fight each other, and know that they love to start things and use tactics against us to get us up out of our neighborhoods and to gentrify us and stuff like that, we'll see those boxes and simply just pick up the box and take it to the police station. Say, look, a stranger dropped some boxes, dropped some guns in our neighborhood, some illegal guns in our neighborhood. We don't want these. Same thing with the drugs. We can easily any drugs in the black community. We can easily, if we follow the Most High in Christ, not deal them, not use them, and just drop it off at the police station. The police will be shocked. The world will be shocked. The world will now be in awe. We'll have the world in awe, and they would look at us differently, be shocked, and they will respect us because that will be our new. There will be our thing now. It'll become a part of us, just like as Kung Fu is a part of Asian history. Us not doing drugs and not shooting each other would be a part of our culture if we simply if we follow the Most High. It's all about us. It's all about how we act on things. Yeah. Okay, you put drugs in our community. We poor. That's why we're going to sell the drugs. But if we follow the Most High laws, even while we're poor, it'll give us dignity. It'll give us, honor. It'll give us honor. And we won't do them drugs. We won't sell them. We'll give it right to the police station like we don't, somebody got these drugs in our neighborhood. We don't do drugs here. We don't deal drugs here. Here, you're the police, you're the law, you take them. Somebody put illegal guns in our neighborhood. All the guns that we own, we have license for, but we don't have license for these guns. And these guns, we don't know where they come from. We don't want them and give them right to the police. Following Most High laws will defeat a lot of the strategies of our oppressor. The reason why we fall for them is because we have no holy structure. Go ahead, Barak.
God. Verse 39. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning.
There you go. So imagine, our sanctuary, our beautiful buildings knocked down, and now grass and trees grow over the ruins. And we used to keep Sabbath service. We used to keep Hanukkah and Passover and keep all these things, but now we don't keep them no more in our city. That's what it means by her what? Read them.
Her feasts were turned into mourning.
Her feasts were turned into mourning. We weren't celebrating Sabbath. We wasn't following the Sabbath, keeping the Sabbath. We wasn't keeping any high holy days. When our oppressor, most of us was not. A few of us was, but most of us was not because we fled that land. Go ahead.
Her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. Verse 40. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning.
Right.
Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
There we go. See, here we go again. Now King Antiochus writes, we should all be one people. What does that sound like? America.
Right.
That sounds like an Asian with a red dot who follows, over in Asia has, an Asian culture, or right. East Indian culture, and follow Hindu or Hindi or whatever they follow. That right. Sounds like a Japanese or Chinese person with their culture. That sounds like an African with their culture, and an Arab who's Muslim and strict and still get lashes, and an Arab that has 4 wives but come to America and now have 1 wife. I have that's just blown my mind where I have seen an Arab who was born in Jordan, which is not his land, but he was born over on the east side of the world, come to America and be afraid to have multiple wives, even though he was born in a land where they have multiple wives in his land. But he comes here in America and respects his oppressor and celebrate Christmas when he knows Christmas is not of his Arab culture. That's what this is right here. Read on. That's exactly what we're reading right here. Go ahead and read.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws.
Everyone should leave his laws. Meaning Arab, you coming over here? Over there, y'all got multiple wives. But over here, Arab, Ishmael, you're going to celebrate Christmas and only have 1 wife. East Indian, you put the dot in their head. All that, whatever you do over there, nah, you gonna celebrate Christmas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Ain't we the Asians, you come over here, we'll respect Chinese New Year. But when our New Year come up, you better, when that ball drop, you better celebrate. You better say Happy New Year. Talking about your Chinese New Year, year of the rat. Nah, you're gonna celebrate. You're gonna follow Janus.
Right.
You're gonna follow our God.
Right.
Our God of January. Go ahead. And
So
you Negroes too. You Israelites, you're gonna eat pork. You're gonna celebrate New Year's. You're gonna celebrate Christmas too. You're gonna stop celebrating. You're gonna stop obeying the Sabbath. You're gonna stop celebrating Passover. You're gonna celebrate. You're gonna worship Zeus now. Go ahead and read from the top where it says King Antiochus.
Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
And all the heathens, those heathens are Arabs, East Indians, Asians, Africans. All of them left all that and said now they following Greek culture now.
Right.
Ain't no Allah, ain't no Buddha. It's Zeus.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 43. Yea, many also the Israelites
Now us, many of the Israelites, go ahead.
Consented to his religion.
Now we said we're gonna leave the Most High, and we're gonna worship Zeus now.
Right.
A false god. The god of right. We said we're gonna worship the moon now, and worship the sun now. Go ahead.
And sacrificed unto idols.
And sacrificed unto idols.
Right.
Meaning we know damn well the Lord that in Israelite culture we do not sacrifice unto gold statues and idols. That's what an idol is. Just a piece of wood carved into a person or a god or a monster or an animal. That's what an idol is. A small or a large statue that you bow down to, an object that you bow down to as your God that has no power to heal or kill.
Right.
We left the living power enjoying that. Somebody else pick up young lady.
In the verse 43.
In the first. What is this again? What is this? First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 43. And sacrifice unto idols and profane the Sabbath. Verse 44. And the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
See that? Follow the strange laws. Why? Because we don't know them damn laws. We know the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? We know Passover. We know Hanukkah. We know the Feast of First Fruits. We know the Day of Atonement. We know the Memorial of the Blowing of the Trumpets. But we don't know Zeus. We don't know Hades. We don't know Ares. We don't know all these other things that they're trying to get us to do. That's why there's strange laws. Eating pork, strange. Wearing that Roman toga, exercising naked is strange to an Israelite. We weren't doing that homo thing, man. Go ahead.
Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
Right. Now, you know what I'm saying, all the sacrifices you're doing to the Most High and drink offerings for the Most High and all the offerings to the Most High, stop offering these things to the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Stop celebrating the Sabbath. Or when you do celebrate the Sabbath, keep the Sabbath on Saturday, but don't say, Amen, Most High. Don't say Most High in Christ. Say Zeus. Or say whatever God that I tell you. And instead of, you turn to the east, now you're going to face forward or face the east, but you're not going to pray to a bull or you're going to pray to some kind of idol. That's how you profane the Sabbath. Go ahead.
Verse 46, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
Right. Pollute the sanctuary, put all kind of idols in there and have whatever, whores in there or brothels, whatever, anything unclean. Have, serve pork instead of lamb and goat and cattle. Serve unclean food. Go ahead.
Verse 47, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols.
See? Put idols now. Go ahead.
And sacrifice swine's flesh.
There we go. See what I just said there. Serve pork. serve pork. Go ahead.
And unclean beasts.
And unclean beasts. That was done in our land. I mean, that's how we was conquered. But these are people who are willing to do this, following the laws of King Antiochus and the letters that he wrote that we should do. Go ahead.
Verse 48. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
Mm-hmm. Now drop all your law. You know, on the sixth day, 8th day.
Hey.
On the 8th day, we're supposed to, our son is supposed to be circumcised. No, don't circumcise him. Leave him uncircumcised. You know what I'm saying? Be totally against whatever the Most High laws was. We're gonna do opposite. That's exactly what we did. That's exactly the heathen king wanted us to do. Go ahead.
And make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanliness and profanation.
Right. Make yourself unclean. Eat pork. Be homosexual. You know what I'm saying? Worship all the idols. Do not say Yahweh. Don't say, you know what I'm saying? Say all kinds of, say the other God's name. Go ahead.
Verse 49. To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
So now this is important. The reason they having us do this is so we can now forget our history. Just like now when we're here in America, it works. Our enemy, what we did, it halfway worked because now, Most High in Christ, we're celebrating what was left, the records that's left, and remembering the history that was left of our people. So now we just, Most High in Christ, we celebrated Passover 2 weeks ago. We're able to, wear the headpieces and wear the border blue, wear the fringes, and keep the laws. You know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ for that.
Most High in Christ.
Rocket that white house shot.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? But once again, for the most part, we've forgotten. For the most part, we wear this, and black people, the majority of black people, they see this with this on, they say, or they tell me, either I like a turban, or they look at you crazy, like, what the hell you got on?
Right.
What the hell do you got on? They try to poke fun at you and make jokes at you because you're not wearing, whatever Esau's telling us to wear, or whatever's popular, whatever's trending, we're not wearing, because we don't have that on. We're strange. So that is the goal of our oppressor. The goal if black people know that this is a part of the menorah, this is a part of our history, the scroll, the horn, you know what I'm saying, the way we dress. If that wasn't strange, then when we see each other, we wouldn't poke fun at each other or act or try to be standoffish. You know what I'm saying? We embrace each other. But because for the most part we forgot our history, don't know our history, all we know now is Christmas. Mother's Day just passed. You know what I'm saying? I haven't told my mother Happy Mother's Day in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? She probably still hating for me. Still, every time Mother's Day come up, her feelings is hurt. You probably either not in 10 years. But it's not my history. That's not my, that's not my culture. But it's a part of her culture. Oh, it was a part of my culture, but we now acknowledge, the Most High's laws. But it's, Christmas and Mother's Day and all these things is so part of their culture. We look at it as crazy. So it's a sad thing, but that's what's happening right here. Read on. So that part is important. That's why I started to talk about it. Go ahead.
Verse 50. And whosoever would not do accordingly to the commandment of the king, he said he should die.
Right. So now, if you continue to keep the Sabbath, if you continue to not eat pork, if you continue to be righteous to the Most High Christ, you're gonna be killed for that. You should be killed. Let me catch you with fringes on. You're gonna be killed. Let me catch you telling your son that he cannot be homosexual. You're gonna be killed. Just like here in America. If you speak against it, you can get locked up for it. Or there's some kind of penalty for it. Go ahead and read.
Verse 51. In the self same manner, wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people.
Right. Go ahead.
Commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice, city by city.
Right. So now the whole Judah, the whole Israel and Jerusalem, he got overseers, he got servants to make sure that we keep sinning, to make sure that we keep sinning, make sure we always profane the Sabbath, make sure we always profane the Most High, and just straight up disown the Most High and turn our back on the Most High. So now when we have children, our children will grow up, and when they're first born, their first god is Zeus, or whatever god they were celebrating. Their first god is, it's not going to be the original god. They're not going to know the Most High. They're not going to know, the true Sabbath service. They're not going to know the high holy days. They're not going to know Passover. They're going to be born knowing Christmas, knowing Easter, knowing Zeus, knowing all these other things. Just like here in America. Go ahead.
Like when I came into the truth this year, like it felt kind of strange to just feel like a newborn.
Right.
I didn't know anything. Everybody, whether younger or older than me, I'm just watching everybody. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Right. That's right. So that's the same thing. That's the same thing. When I walked in, brother saluted me. Yahweh Shem Shem when I walked in, I was like, Yahweh. They laughed at me. They was like, you gonna get it, brother. You gonna get it, brother. I said, it's the same thing we tell you. This your first year. Get a brother ahead. It's his first year to school. You know what I'm saying? It took him some time. It took him some time, and he learned the salute. You know what I'm saying? And he got it down pat. And, that's all. That's what it is. Like the truth is so strange to us. You know what I'm saying? But both sides of Christ for it. But we come in here, we watch, we learn the Hebrew language. We're being retaught at a later age, our history.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? It's so beautiful that we have children in here. You know what I'm saying? I see children in here, you know what I'm saying, that never celebrated Christmas.
Right.
That never ate pork. So now we get to read now, you know what I'm saying? We read about a heathen that's telling our people to celebrate his ordinances so we can forget the Most High. And now our children can be brought up firstborns, and their first experience would be heathen ordinances. Right. Now in 2020, brothers in the UPK, you know what I'm saying, we got children that's born, and their first, when they're first born, they never get to celebrate Christmas. Now we get to restart and raise them up the right way from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? That's a beautiful thing.
Right.
Go ahead.
Verse 52. Then many of the people were gathered onto them, to wit, everyone that forsake the law, and so they committed evils in the land.
Right. So now we make the land evil. Imagine being in the Holy Land. You all celebrated Sabbath. You all know who the Most High is. But now within weeks and months and years, within the next 2 years, next 5 years, nobody's keeping the Sabbath. Nobody's worshiping the Most High. It can change just like that, so easily with the force of the oppressor. Go ahead.
Verse 53, and drove the Israelites into secret places.
Right. So yeah, some of us though, that went and also it happened in Rome too. In Rome they call it the catacombs. You know, so we went underground to pray. And you got brothers also at other times went to caves. We literally had to leave our oppressor. Escape from our oppressor, go live in a cave, and just to keep our holy culture. We had to do what we had to do. Go ahead. Whensoever
they would flee for support. Did I say it right?
What verse you at?
53.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Verse 54. Now the 15th day of the month of Kaslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and build it idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side.
And succor is a definition which means assistance and support in any times of hardship or distress. So in our hardship, you know what I'm saying, we ran somewhere where as though we ran to a cave or ran to a place where as though we were able to keep the laws and keep the statutes.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Verse 55, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. Verse 56, and when they had when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
Right. So now you have the servants of Antiochus. They come into Judah, and now they ripping the scrolls. They're ripping up our laws. They're ripping them up and burning them. That's how you make it. You know what I'm saying? That's how you go. That's how you go to war with the people. You know what I'm saying? You can physically go to war with people, but you can have them as slaves. You can have them slaves, but they can always, even though they're getting beat, if you're not changing, their language and changing, their history, they'll always still they'll be slaves, but they'll still be able to pass down their history to their kid. Now, the total wipeout, the total destruction is when you take them slaves and then their newborns, like I said, you ain't passing your history down. The newborns is learning their oppressor's history. That's the true wipeout, the true conquer, and how you truly get them children and them slaves, the next generation of slaves, to obey you. Because all they know is your culture. Go ahead.
About shot. Like our oppressor, say to be frank, the white man, isn't he the only person who goes to that radical extreme to try to wipe out your whole existence, like your whole culture? Like everybody else in war, they take slaves and you're allowed to be you, but you're slaves.
I would say for the record, most of them do it. So you have Arabs who make you Muslim. They'll try to take your woman and have sex with your woman, make her a Muslim woman, have a baby be Muslim, and that's what Arabs do. For the most part, oppressors do it, but Esau, yes, he's number one. He's number one with it. Go ahead.
Verse 57, and whosoever was found with the book of the testament, or if any committed to the law,
any consented. If any consented.
So like I must got a bad version that said committed.
Okay. Go ahead. Okay, read on. It's consented. Go ahead.
Or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. Verse 58.
Right. And that's how they did it. Like if you was caught keeping a Sabbath, if you was caught not eating pork, if you would not eat pork, if they see you not do it, you was killed. And that was an honorable thing to do. To damn die for your people, die for your culture. That was that. Keep it and let the Most High, deal with it. You died, you'll be, reborn again. But the Most High see that you died for His law. You get what I'm saying? So, that was what we were supposed to do.
Oh God.
And not, cower and go run to join our oppressor.
What?
Go ahead.
Precept was the woman with her 7 sons.
Right. Yeah, you got a woman and 7 sons. You got that scripture where the sister, so they try to make this woman and her son eat pork. And the sons will not do it. So, they tortured. They went down the line and tortured all 7 sons. Put them in boiling pots and cauldrons and hot water, boil them, alive and make them, kill them alive. Well, I'm trying to find the right term for that. But kill them. So while they're alive, just dip them in hot water, cut their members off, their body parts, their penis, their tongue, cut their tongues out, and just torture them. And they will make each son watch that and see, okay, I'm gonna kill the oldest. I'm gonna kill one son, and hopefully, if I kill one of y'all, all of y'all now y'all see that he died. Now all of y'all is going to now eat pork, but that didn't work. So now they killed another brother, and they killed another brother. You know what I'm saying? They got all the way down when all 7 sons were dead, and it got down to the mother. You know what I'm saying? They you know, and because they died for the Most High, died for the Most High's structure and laws, their story became renowned, and they were not forgotten thousands of years ago. Now we remember them, and we teach on them thousands of years from now. You know, so they did was an honorable thing. Go ahead.
Like my favorite was the third son.
Mm-hmm.
When his turn came up, he just threw his arms out and stuck his tongue out like they don't even belong to me anyway. You can have it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know what I'm saying? Brother was hardcore with it. You know what I'm saying? That's how we gotta be for the Most High laws. Go ahead and continue. Or Makwashi, you can take over for him.
Khan. Verse 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month to as many as were found in the cities.
Right. So every month they going through Israel, going through Jerusalem. You know what I'm saying? If anybody caught following the Most High, following the laws, if you caught them scrolls, you've been killed. Go ahead.
Khan. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. Right.
So now the holy altar was now changed to an altar of an idol. So they kept it. Imagine this school right here where we keep the laws and statutes of the Most High. Imagine they take these items down and take this picture down, and now this picture got a big Caesar Borgia behind us, a white Christ behind us. Now this school is taking over to now be a church. Imagine that. Go ahead.
At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
Right.
And they hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Right. So now, you know, they found out your kid, they checking your baby's rod. They going all up, you know, above and beyond to as though you had no privacy. They checking your baby's rod to see if it's uncircumcised or not. And if it's circumcised, your baby was hung and the women were killed for doing it. Ruthless with it and made sure. That's why we got to go just as hard to keep the law of the Most High. Because our oppressor is serious and goes above and beyond to make sure that we don't. And to make sure if we do, to make sure we, you know, are like shunned and, you know, put in a bad light. That's why the I.S.U.P.K, we're not terrorists at all. You know what I'm saying? White people are, you know, the mass shooters and all that. But they put us on, you know, on the Southern Power, they put us as a terrorist group. What are we a terrorist to? We're a terrorist to the customs and the ordinances of America. We're terrorists to us, to their pork, to their homosexuality. We're a terror to their beliefs because we won't keep them. That's the only thing we're terrorists to is not following their gods, but following the true God. Other than that, we don't physically kill anyone, but they do. Go ahead.
Oh God. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves,
right,
not to eat any unclean thing.
Right, and that was beautiful. Many of us were fully resolved and confirmed in ourselves not to eat any unclean thing. They go around trying to make you eat pork. Here, it's pork. Eat it. And we didn't do it, so we decided to die that day. And that's what we all should have did. We stand for the Most High. Go ahead.
Okay. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
Beautiful, honorable. And they made the story, and and we still talk about them thousands of years later. Go ahead.
John Khan. And there was very great wrath upon Israel. First Maccabees 2:1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jeroboam, and from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons. Johanan, called Caddis, Simon, called Thasai, Judas, who was called Maccabees, Eleazar, called Araron, and Jonathan, whose surname was Apaphus.
Right.
And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, "Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people?"
Right.
And
so he's seeing a horrible thing, man. He's saying, destroy me, like, man, kill me, man. I'm born. I am born now to see my people like this, to see the altar gone, to see the holy city profaned. You know what I'm saying? Imagine you coming to the holy city to celebrate Passover, and like I said, imagine you coming to the school right here. Y'all come for Sabbath service, come to class, and you come in here, and now it's a pastor in here saying, "Hey man, come sit down, hallelujah, praise Jesus, sit down. We better have communion." You'll be looking like you'll be heartbroken. You'll be sad. And that's what Mattathias was seeing. He was seeing the whole on a bigger scale, though. He was seeing his people murdered for not following the laws of the Most High. He was seeing, no holy place to go worship, all of that. And it struck him. Go ahead.
God. And the holy and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy,
right,
and the sanctuary into the hand of thy strangers,
right. And that's how you feel once you find out the truth. Once you find out the truth, your eyes are opened up, and you look at the world so differently. You become more compassionate. You get so sad when you see your like, that's why when you come to the truth, you're such a fanatic and try to tell everybody the truth. You feel like a damn saint, a damn good person. Like, look, I know the truth, and I'm trying to tell you. Leave the Christmas tree the hell alone. We're not supposed to be eating pork. Leave that pork alone. Right. We're not supposed to be whores. Leave that alone. Your auntie, your mother, your uncle, your father, your brothers hate you. Looking at you like you crazy. And in your mind, you're like, how can you look at me crazy? I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you what was done to us. I'm telling you, the murders and the brainwashing, and they don't want to hear none of that. They don't want to hear none of that. But that's how we are now when we learn the truth. You know what I'm saying? You got to tell everybody the truth now. Go ahead.
God. Her temple is become as a man without glory. Mm-hmm. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets. Her young men with the sword of the enemy. Right.
Her young men. Now, you know what I'm saying? The holy city got babies hanging. You got circumcised babies hung in the city. Right. You got young men who should be fighting for the Most High, fighting for their city, fighting for Jerusalem, but they fight for the enemy now. Right. So imagine all your young men, 16 through 26 or 16 through 30, 35. You know what I'm saying? Instead of protecting their house, they protecting the enemy's house. It's like, damn, our young soldiers, our young men who are our future and our protectors, they ain't protecting us. We ain't got nothing. Go ahead.
Khan. Verse 10. What nation had not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
Right. What nation has not come to Israel and, set up shop and set up malls and set up, whatever, and took, gold from us and silver from us and gained riches from us some kind of way. Right. Just like black people. You got a beauty supply store with the Asians. You got East Indians and the Arabs who own the 7-Eleven and gas stations. You got the Edomites who you paying gas to, electric to, and taxes to. And you know what I'm saying? You go have fun. You got to go to a bar or to some club with some funky African who own it. All of these heathens. Read that part again.
Khan. What nation had not had a part in her kingdom?
Right. Now, what nation has not had their hand in Israel's pot, even till today? What nation not getting paid off us?
Right.
Except for what? Maybe the Hawaiians. And I don't see no Hawaiians over here who got restaurants and this and that in the black neighborhood. That's about it. But anybody else, they get money from us, from either the gas station, beauty supply store, mall, anything.
Right.
Go ahead.
They on the West Coast. They still getting their money from us.
Oh, the Hawaiian, they over there on the West. I mean, I'm not over there, but if they over there, y'all brothers, you let me know. Go on. The Hawaiian, they over there getting money from us, then they part of it too. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, it's not like all, you know what I'm saying? Like in the West Coast, you got Asians and Africans over there getting money. Like for the most part, it's them. Arabs, Asians, East Indians, Africans. And of course, Esau, who we paying rent to, our mortgage, taxes,
Right.
Cable bill, whatever. Go ahead.
Khan. Verse 11. All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bondslave.
Right.
And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it.
Right. Our Lord, you know what I'm saying? Our temples don't got the menorah in there, don't got the showbread in there. What they got is idols of Zeus, idols of whatever Greek gods at that time. We worshiping the sun, the moon, worshiping everything but the Most High. Go ahead.
Okay. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer?
Right. So he said, what the hell should we live for? We might as well just die.
Right.
Dying is better than living. Dying is better than living through this.
Right.
Really? Go ahead.
Sir. Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sore.
And that was a culture of black. That was a culture of us. So we rip out. We dramatic. We put dirt on our face and we fall to the ground and we cry. We rip our clothes and put sackcloth. Sackcloth was our garment of sorrow and sadness and lament. Go ahead.
Sir. Verse 15. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city Modin to make them sacrifice.
Right. So now you got the king's officers coming in to make the people in the city of Modin. Now it's time for them to eat swine's flesh and sacrifice the swine to whatever gods, whatever false idols they had. Go ahead.
And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
Mm-hmm.
Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable man and great man in the city.
Right. So in that city, Mattathias, he was the man of the city. He was known in the city, as a leader and a brother who kept the laws of the Most High. Go ahead.
And strengthened with sons and brethren.
Right.
Now, therefore, come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment.
Right. So it's like now you come first. Just like now, and now, you know what I'm saying? The reason why, a lot of reasons why we're doing drugs, lean, weed, promethazine, Zans and bars and all that is because people that we look up to, we look up to celebrities who do nothing but entertain. You know what I'm saying? Rappers and mostly like rappers and things like that. Most of the athletes, because they're athletes, they don't promote the drugs per se. The ISUPK and stuff like that. But for sure, in the rap world, rappers that our young kid, that our sons and our daughters listen to, they promote unclean things. You know what I'm saying? They promote a man taking a woman's wife. They promote getting high and robbing somebody. Our female rappers promote dressing like a whore. They promote, they are paid by the oppressor because if they stop, the oppressor will have a meeting with them and say, look, you don't want to rap about this anymore? Why not? How come you don't want to rap about drugs anymore? How come you don't want to rap about setting a guy up that likes you, setting him up to get robbed. How come you don't want to rap about that anymore? And they'll, get their contract cut, or, they'll get blackmailed and blackballed and stuff like that. So Esau always took the most renowned person, the most famous person, or the man of the city, the woman of the city, who had big influence to influence us to do evil.
Right.
So now they're trying to influence Mattathias, who has influence over the people. Let him be the first one to eat pork.
Right.
Go ahead.
Like as all the brethren have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thine house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards.
Right. So look, Mattathias, man, you do this, man, you can be good. We're gonna pay you. You'll be honored. Your children will have silver and gold, and you'll be a friend to the king. The king will have a party. You'll come on down to the king's party and party with him. Eat, drink, and be merry with the king. Disobeying the Most High. By disobeying the Most High. That sounds like our black leaders today. You know what I'm saying? You see our black leaders, you know what I'm saying? You see them taking pictures with other president, whether it's Joe Biden or Donald Trump, taking pictures with them, meetings with them, and trying to get people to go against the Most High by voting. Yes, voting is against the Most High, and all the celebrities do it. You know what I'm saying? They try to promote us to support the gay community. They rap about drug culture, anything that's against the Most High. They are paid to do it, and they do it because of that. They do it because most of them are not revolutionary because they don't get paid to be revolutionary. They get paid to influence us to celebrate, to be American, and to worship their disgusting orders culture. Go ahead.
Okay. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the commandment of our fathers.
Right. For the loud, he was strong. Their brother was strong and honorable. With a loud voice, Mattathias said, "Nah, you got these other heathens. Yeah, those Asians, they left Buddha. Right. Ishmael, he left Allah. All the Africans, they left whatever. You know what I'm saying? The doodle god and the cow piss that they worship and drink or whatever. Yeah, they left their gods. But me and my house, we're going to keep the Most High. We're going to keep the ordinances of the Most High." He said that with a loud voice, man. Go ahead.
Verse 21. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left.
Right. We're not going to forsake the Most High. God forbid. Me and my house, we're going to stand. We're going to stand strong. Go ahead.
Verse 23. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin.
Right. So now he in Modin, and Mattathias said this thing that spoke loud so everybody could hear him, and with a proud and confident voice saying, "Nah, we're not doing that. Them other heathens, yeah, y'all got them, but we ain't gonna do this. We ain't gonna do that." And now you always got one weak person, one weak traitor, who's coming amongst all the people after Mattathias just said this. Go ahead.
Which was at Modin according to the king's commandment. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar.
Right. Mattathias was so angry, his fringes and his clothes are shaking. His clothes are shaking because he's trembling with anger, man. I think he see one of his people going to go sacrifice on an altar to an idol. He went and killed that person on the altar. You ain't supposed to be killing. You can't. It's against the law to kill somebody on the altar. But he said, "Nah, you disobey the Most High. You gotta die." Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 25. Also the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down.
Right. He pulled down that heathen, that whatever that disgusting altar that was attributed to the whatever idol it was. He pulled that trash down, killed that person, and killed the king who tried to tell everybody to eat pork and sacrifice to the false god. He killed him too. Go ahead.
Come on. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God.
Right. He did that for the Most High. Go ahead.
Like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of SHALAM.
Right.
SHALAM.
Mm-hmm.
And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me.
So now look, he said, now, you know what I'm saying, all the people who gathered around, imagine, imagine the king, the heathen king, our oppressor, sent one of his officers to come and to gather the whole city and saying, look, and he get the most popular guy that everybody respects. I want you, Mattathias, you and your sons, y'all be the first ones. Y'all leaders, right? Okay, come and lead the whole city to disobey the Most High and worship the false idol. And then so Mattathias said, nah, we're not doing that. He said that in front of everybody in the city. Then you got one person come up, Mattathias killed him and the king's servant who tried to get him to do it. And then he turns around to the whole city and like, look, if you love the Most High, you got to serve the Most High. Come follow me. We leaving the city. Go ahead.
Come on. Verse 28. So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city.
Whatever they had, they left it in the city and went to the mountains. And that's what we always did when our cities were taken over by our oppressor. We always went to the caves, went underground, fled somewhere into some cave, some damn dark hole, somewhere to keep the statues of the Most High. We couldn't even do it in public anymore. We had to do it out of sight, or we were going to be killed. And we're gonna pick up on this next Monday. With that, we're gonna pass a class of preaching officer. That was a book, the first chapter of First Maccabees, chapter 1. It's a glorious story, but it's crazy because this is First Maccabees. This happened in the time of the Greeks, but it's happening right now in America in the year 2021. Right now, of course, you were not born. Most of us were not born not eating pork. We were not born not celebrating Christmas. We were born celebrating Christmas. We were born following the holidays of America. We were born worshiping white Jesus. We were born doing the ordinances of America, doing the things that the Romans did. We were born like that. And then once you came into the truth and learned the truth, we learned a lot of our ways were wrong and backwards. This is what's happening in Greece. It's happening right now. And all we got to do is be like and follow the Most High Christ. Follow Christ. Follow the Most High Christ. Follow the Spirit and the vibe of Mattathias. And now stick to the laws and die for the laws of the Most High Christ.
That's right.
And that's going to be a big change in America, man.
Right.
Go ahead. With that, pass the class of preaching officer, Mukwasha.
Security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K. out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and the Commanding General YAHANNA. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21 and Malachi 3:8-10. Means 10th in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashera. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests. Not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation is the Feast of First Fruits. starts after the Sabbath. Starts after the Sabbath of unleavened bread, sundown. Count 50 days. You can find this in Leviticus 23:10 through 22. Remind Akim and Akwathim to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events and materials. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share Commander Jonah Yahanna's Black Watch, which will be on 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. every Monday night. And whenever you subscribe to his channel, you will get the notification bell, and click the notification bell. You will get the notification whenever he goes on live. He goes on live 3 days a week, sir.
Don't forget to always turn the camera on, brother, too.
Do you have anything else to add to that, sir?
Nah, that should be it.
Okay, sir. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headbands, and scarf. And with that, I say Amajah, which means to stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel, Amajah Shabbat, Amajah, Barak,
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yashamatah. Class dismissed.